Okay, so welcome to our sort of little webinar on speech and debate, which is an activity a lot of people do in high school, and I think it's a great activity. So this is just supposed to serve as a general overview for those of you who are interested in doing speech and debate in high school. Yeah. So sort of table of contents. Um, Before I go into it, I want to introduce everyone to Chloe. She'll introduce herself later, but this probably wouldn't be a very good webinar without her because I only do one event in speech and debate, and obviously there's a ton of options suited for a lot of different types of people and what they sort of have strengths in. So she's here to talk about her event, which I'm very grateful for. So this webinar is would not be possible without her. And then we'll first going to do introductions and sort of dive into why you should do speech and debate and sort of how it helps you sort of in your high school career and academic journey. And then we're going to talk about specific events. So Public Forum is the event I've been doing, and then Lincoln Douglas is the event Chloe has been doing. So yeah, hi guys. You probably know that I'm Angelina already, and if you read the morning announcements, you probably know that my partner and I championed the New Jersey State's Varsity Public Forum section. And as a result, we were awarded the New Jersey Governor's Award in Arts Education. But why is debate sort of like important for like those of you who like want to do debate? You don't have to be extremely good at it to earn awards. So for example, NSDA, which is the National Speech and Debate Association, they give out All-American awards for debaters who are very committed to the event. So for example, if you attend a certain amount of tournaments, as well as the fact that you have a certain GPA in high school, I'm pretty sure it's a 3.8 GPA, you get this award called an All-American Award, which basically says you're not only committed to your studies, but you're also committed to doing speech and debate outside of school. And then obviously the thing that most people care about are TOC and NSDA qualifications, which are basically probably the highest level of national tournaments you can get to in speech and debate. However, as I said before, you don't have to be a TOC qualifier to be successful in debate. You can find your own success in other ways, whether it be winning locals, winning states, or winning awards if you're very good at school as well as committed to the event.
Hi guys, my name is Chloe. I don't go to the same high school as Angelina, but we compete at a lot of the same tournaments since we're on the same circuit. I was champion at the New Jersey Speech and Debate League state championships this year in junior varsity in Lincoln Douglas, and I also championed the Ridge Invitational. More national circuit, which is like outside of the state. I was seventh speaker at Harvard National Speech and Debate Tournament this year in junior varsity Lincoln Douglas, and I'm the captain of my debate team at my high school.
And then sort of why speech and debate. Just to start off, you make a lot of friends and like it's like a pretty good community. For example, I met Chloe through speech and debate. We actually met a long time ago and we're still friends till today. So I would say it's a great way of finding new friends. Also, I think Chloe mentioned this, but you debate on the national circuit, so you meet friends from all over the country as well as friends from overseas. Because a lot of people, for example, from Taiwan as well as from Canada, come to national tournaments. So you got to make a lot of new friends from different backgrounds, and it's pretty cool. But maybe more important to some people than friends in the community is what you specifically gain personally from doing speech and debate. And I would say, you do gain a lot of things. For example, if you're somebody who doesn't really like to talk or who's not confident in their talking, or communication abilities, I would say speech and debate is a great way or sort of extracurricular for you to do to develop confidence, to improve your communication, as well as writing abilities, especially improvisation, which is basically speaking off the top of your head. And that can be very useful in terms of academics, whether it be writing essays in English class or sort of speaking or participating in any class. Um, it's also pretty helpful for applications, for example, summer applications as well as college applications. I think speech and debate is good at putting you in uncomfortable positions where you have to work your way out, which is very useful in daily life as well. If you're in a situation where you're not too sure what to do, I think speech and debate really helps with your decision-making abilities. Also, because you compete on a team, even if you're not doing a 2v2 like partner event or like a any other type of partner event, like I know World Schools is 3v3, but even if you're not doing a partner event, you still get to experience the teamwork as well as now develop the networking skills because a lot of people like to prepare for tournaments together in things known as prep groups. So if you develop friends, you get to work together and network. And lastly, it's pretty fun. So yeah. Oh, public forum. This is an event I've been doing since middle school. So it's been 4 years. I would say I'm sort of pretty familiar with the event. Essentially, it's a 2v2. I like working in a partnership because I feel like two different people bring a lot of different skills to the table, and it also makes it a lot easier on each individual person. I would say Lincoln Douglas is something that would be very hard for me to do because I like to work with other people and like split up work. So doing everything by myself would be very, very difficult. And I like to talk things through with other people. So when we prepare for tournaments, my partner and I will talk through which arguments we want to run and sort of how we want to respond to things before we even get to the tournament. And if you're interested in things such as domestic or international legislation, for example, if you have strong feelings about things like climate change, on things like human rights, on things like nuclear warfare, I would say that public forum is probably the event for you. And I think the upcoming debate like topic for public forum, so the September October topic, we call it the Septober topic, is written below. So the United States federal government should substantially expand its surveillance infrastructure along its southern border. So it's very based on sort of legislation and what sort of you should, or what should the country do, what should countries do in order to accomplish some sort of goal.
So I do Lincoln Douglas. I actually switched a year ago, and it's similar to PF in some ways, but its main difference is that it's a 1v1 event, so you don't have a partner. I would say if you have trouble finding a partner, or if you don't, or if you know you want to work by yourself, you might want to consider Lincoln Douglas. Or if you just don't know how much time you can commit to the event and you don't want your partner to be like guessing like when you can work with them or like collaborate, you should probably choose Lincoln Douglas. It's similar to PF in that it covers a lot of domestic and international topics. Like this September topic is resolve the United States ought to require that workers receive a living wage. But it's also different in that the resolution has a lot of emphasis on like morals. So you see the word ought in the resolution. A lot of debaters will be arguing like how you should decide the round, like what is moral, because they would say the word ought implies that you have a moral obligation. There are a lot of emphasis on like frameworks in Lincoln Douglas, which is like how you should consider what arguments. So you should say we should prioritize things that are just, or we should prioritize things that are moral. So if you like more philosophical debates, you should probably pick Lincoln Douglas. But again, it covers a lot of domestic and international topics, just like public forum.
So we've reached our Q&A session, and I guess sort of before we dive into Q&A, Chloe, if you want, you could talk a little bit about your team because I feel like is there like something your team that is like changing or unique that you want to talk about? Because I think you mentioned you were the captain. So I was just like I was gonna talk about like stuff with my team. So if you wanted to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, do you
Um,
want to yeah.
Okay. So my team is pretty small. I'm the only debater at my school who competes on a national level, but our debate team goes to some local tournaments as well. I would say because it's so small, you have a much bigger prep burden. Like you would be doing all the evidence work and all the preparing for tournaments by yourself. But I've also made a lot of my best friends on this team. There's a lot of juniors on my team, so even outside of debate I can go to them for advice about like classes or like studying or what teachers I should have. So like even though they might not be at the same level debate wise as in like going to more tournaments, they're still one of my best friends, and I've just made like so many connections throughout this school through my team.
I would say the sentiment is pretty similar on my team, except the team is a lot bigger, so there's less of a prep burden. And I feel like because we have a lot more people, we're trying out a lot more things. So if you happen to be in the Melbourne area and are interested in speech and debate, but your kid is in middle school or you're not too sure if you want to pay the team fee, um, right now the captains and I were sort of discussing, we're trying to implement this new initiative where we allow parents to sort of judge debate tournaments and sort of get a feel of what debate is before their kids get into debate. Just throwing that out there. If you're interested, please let me know because we don't know how popular that is. But yeah, with that, we're probably gonna open up the floor to Q&A. So if anybody wants to unmute their mic and ask a question and or put a question in chat, we'll be more than happy to answer.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So how many tournaments you attend on an annual basis? Like how good you need to be in order to qualify for the national debate tournament?
You want to take this one or should I?
I think the answer probably differs between the two of us, so we can both answer. Yeah.
Yeah. So for Lincoln Douglas, oh, I'll get to your question, Sherry, in a second. But for Lincoln Douglas, if you're trying to compete at the national level, you have to earn bids to go to the top national tournament. Most tournaments don't have like a sort of qualification you need. Like you can literally attend any tournament you want. But to reach the national tournament of champions, you need to have a certain number of bids. And Lincoln Douglas offers only gold bids, which is different from PF. But for a local level, I would say to get to the state championships, you only need to qualify, like break or make it to elims in one local tournament.
Sort of to add on to that, if you're very good at debate and you earn your bid at your first tournament, or I think Lincoln Douglas, it's 2 gold bids, right? In PF, the system's a
Yeah.
bit different.
Yeah.
But I think you would need like 2 gold bids. If you go to 2 tournaments and you get a bid at each tournament, then you're done. Like a lot of people are just done. So I think the strategy for a lot of people is to go to tournaments until they get their qualifications in, and then we just stop. Also, it's a lot dependent on you, and then in public forum, obviously depend on you and your partner. So a lot of the times you would say like, oh, if I'm busy this month, like I don't have to go to a tournament. So I feel like the average tournament is probably about like, is it like 10 to 20 max per year? Is say like about, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so Sherry, it's kind of different depending on your goals. If you're trying to go to like the state level, like you're going to attend a lot of local tournaments, I would say you probably need like an hour maximum a week. It's not that much of a time commitment because locals, you don't require that much prep. The debaters there are usually around the same level, and you probably know some of them too. So my team meets once a week during the season for about an hour, and then we like research and do prep. Especially if you have a larger team, they might be able to share some prep with you, so your prep burden is even less. If you're trying to go national level, probably around 2 3 hours a week, if you're trying to make it like to the top, like even more than that, because there's just a much wider range of arguments that you're going to encounter on the national circuit compared to the local circuit.
Oh, and then I got a message from somebody that said, is there like summer camp for debate? I personally, I've only went to summer camp in middle school. I think I did Atlas, which is like a local summer camp. That only prepares you for public forum, I'm pretty sure. So if you're interested in Lincoln Douglas or speech, that's probably not the place for you. I don't know. Have you been to NSD? Do you want to talk about the experience there?
Yeah, so NSD is like one of the bigger camps. They do Lincoln Douglas and public forum. It's catered to people who want to do national circuit debate, but I know there are like sessions for beginners, like if you just started out in debate. I think their Philadelphia session, the earliest one, is for people who are new to speech and debate. And it's like really great. You get to meet a lot of people. The coaches there are like really well trained and they've done well on like the national circuit. If you want to get good fast, I would say like you should probably go to a summer camp, but it's not necessary to be successful for debate. Oh, Sherry, for the tournament part, each tournament usually lasts on the weekends. The local ones are usually 1 day long. Like, so you'll just have to like block out all of your Saturday for the tournament. The national ones are usually from like Saturday to Monday or like Saturday and Sunday, so it's a little bit longer, but it's not too much time. Like it's like one weekend. So like same if you had like a soccer game.